Boy, if you weren't awake before, now you are after seeing that face, that cute face. Thanks for joining us at 6 a.m., everyone. I'm Eric Connors.
And I'm Netta Irab, but we all yelled, whoa.
A face only a mother fish could love.
It just looked like sludge in their head. But okay, let's talk about something that's quite lovely, quite the opposite, our forecast.
I had not seen that video before, and that is wow to see.
Some video just jumps off the screen.
We were talking about this yesterday in the newsroom, and I asked if it was the fish that looked like. And they were like,
that's a good explanation, yes.
Let's take a look at the forecast for this afternoon. We're expecting temperatures to be a little bit warmer than they were yesterday. Widespread 60s and 70s finally making their return. Across our mountains, we should be making it into the low 70s as well. Couple clouds out there, not nearly as abundant this morning as they were yesterday. So we're already starting off the day pretty nicely. 75 in Santee and El Cajon, 71 in La Mesa this afternoon, and 62 in PB, taking you up to North County, 64 this afternoon in Carlsbad, 71 for Fallbrook and RB, and 75 in Ramona. Coming up, we'll talk about the significant warming trend. We're talking 10 to 20 degrees warmer than average that we'll see by the time the weekend comes around. Details on that in just a few minutes. Back to you.
This morning, firefighters trying to figure out what caused a fire at an apartment complex here in La Mesa. It happened around 11 o'clock last night in the 5500 block of Morro Way. It took crews about 30 minutes to knock it down. Still not clear if anyone was hurt here. Again, the cause not known, but the bomb and arson team is on the scene. We'll keep you posted.
As of this morning, no arrest has been made in the killing of the CAL FIRE captain in Ramona.
On Monday night, deputies found the 49-year-old woman with several stab wounds inside of her home. CBS 8's Regina Yarita live outside Sheriff's headquarters with what deputies are saying about a possible motive here. Regina?
That's correct. Good morning, Eric and Netta. And this has quickly turned into a homicide investigation, but at this time, no arrests have been made. Authorities are still looking for the person responsible for this killing, but investigators believe Captain Rebecca Moriarty might have known her killer. Now, according to the San Diego County Sheriff's Office, the 49-year-old CAL FIRE captain was stabbed to death in her Ramona home on Monday night. Authorities say deputies responded to a call of an assault with a deadly weapon at a house on the 20,000 block of Rancho Villa Road in Ramona. When law enforcement arrived, they found Moriarty suffering from multiple stab wounds. CAL FIRE paramedics arrived shortly after and administered life-saving measures. However, sheriffs say Moriarty died on scene. The Sheriff's Homicide Unit has taken over the investigation. Detectives suspect that Moriarty knew the suspect, and they're treating this case as a potential domestic violence incident. Investigators are now working to contact people of interest, and they're trying to identify a suspect. In a press release from the CAL FIRE Riverside County Fire Department, they shared how Moriarty dedicated over 30 years to fire service. She started her career in 1993 in Moreno Valley as a volunteer firefighter. Throughout her career, she held assignments at the Emergency Command Center in locations including Paris, Rancho Mirage, and Menifee. She will be remembered as someone who, quote, was deeply involved in peer support and hazmat, always prioritizing the well-being of her colleagues. Here's how nearby neighbors described her.
Very outgoing. She was very nice. I only met her twice, but she was very sweet and very kind and everything else. Had a sense of humor, too.
And there was a procession that took place of her body from her home in Ramona all the way to the medical examiners yesterday. As far as the circumstances or the motive, that is still under investigation, but anyone with additional information is strongly advised to contact Crime Stoppers. For now, I'll send it back to you.
Regina, thanks for the update. Today, the Imperial Beach City Council expected to give final approval to an ordinance to prevent rent evictions. It would prohibit landlords from evicting renters over cosmetic improvements like painting. It would also require landlords to pay 2 months of relocation expenses to people who live there over 12 months. It would apply to properties of 15 units or more. The law would take effect in 30 days after today's second reading. And a major shakeup at City Hall this morning to tell you about. San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria announcing his plan to address the city's $250 million budget deficit. He eliminated the chief operating officer position and merged multiple departments. The mayor is also immediately cutting dozens of city government positions and vacant management positions. Gloria says this will slash $5.3 million of spending. That's 2% of the overall deficit.
$5 million that we'll have available to us to put toward keeping police on our streets, not browning out fire stations, continuing our progress of fixing the damn roads, and getting more homeless into housing.
The cuts come after voters rejected Measure E in November. That was the 1-cent sales tax increase that would have generated $400 million in revenue each year. While Gloria has the power to implement these administrative changes on his own, the city council has final authority over budget decisions. This morning, we are hearing from President Donald Trump and billionaire Elon Musk about their wide-sweeping efforts to slash spending and shrink the size of the federal workforce. They gave their first joint interview since Trump took office.
All we're really trying to do here is restore the will of the people through the president.
He gets it done. He's a leader.
The interview aired hours after a federal judge in D.C. denied a request from 14 Democrat-led states to block Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, from accessing data systems and firing workers at 7 government agencies. This morning, we're learning some people have been fired by mistake. The Department of Agriculture says it's trying to get back people who were accidentally fired, including veterinarians and animal health technicians working to prevent the spread of bird flu.
New this morning, the U.S. is pausing applications for certain migrants. 2 U.S. officials tell CBS News the Trump administration put a hold on applications under Biden-era parole programs for migrants from Latin America and from Ukraine. These programs allowed hundreds of thousands of people to come here legally. The White House is blaming fraud and security concerns for the freeze. Did not say how long it will last. Meantime, the Trump administration ordering legal service providers to stop working with unaccompanied migrant children. The Department of Interior sent the order to the Acacia Center for Justice. The nonprofit says it assists nearly 26,000 children released from the custody of the Office of Refugee Resettlement. It's a non-governmental organization but receives funding from the federal government. Immigrant rights advocates say this will force minors to have to represent themselves in immigration court. This morning, illegal crossings along the southern border are at the lowest level they've been in nearly 5 years. That's according to new monthly data released by U.S. Customs and Border Protection. In the first 11 days of the Trump administration, apprehensions dropped 85% compared to the same time last year. Just this past Monday, there were 218 southwest border apprehensions. That's roughly 1,600 less than on the same day 1 year ago. CBP crediting the drop to President Trump's executive actions, including ending catch and release and sending 1,500 U.S. troops to the southern border.
Look, I know we pay for it here, but waking up in San Diego is certainly a blessing on a day like today when you look at the temperatures across the rest of the country.
You have looked exactly anywhere else, basically to the east of us, and we're about as far west as you're going to get in San Diego. When you look anywhere to the east of us, you've got those colder temperatures. Albuquerque, New Mexico is at about 20 degrees right now to kick off the morning. We talked earlier about Dallas being at 13 degrees. So the cold temperatures are not only being felt up around the northern U.S., they're being felt countrywide, nationwide, except for in California, except for the far, about southeast portion of the country. So very select spots, and we are one of those select spots. Looking at satellite radar imagery, there's a bit of cloud cover as we start off the morning, mainly up around North County, going to be dissipating over the next several hours and leading us to mostly sunny conditions into the afternoon, very similar to the last several days. Temperatures out by the coast should reach up to the upper 60s. Not expected to hit the 70s today, but we will start to see those 70s come about even by the coast in the coming days. Very quick. By about Friday, we should be back to the 70s, and that'll last all the way through about Tuesday of next week, with some of our inland valleys reaching into the nearly 80-degree range. You can see how those temperatures will start to slide closer to sunset, about 4 p.m. We start to dip down a bit, 60 degrees by 6 p.m. Winds are going to be relatively mild today. We talked yesterday and Monday about being near criteria for a wind advisory. Today, not so much. We're really only seeing those 10, 15 or so mile per hour winds. Rain chances stay at near zero, and that is because a ridge of high pressure is going to be building overhead. So you can see how those temperatures are going to be climbing all the way into this upcoming weekend, likely peaking on Sunday, but some models show Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday holding on to a lot of that heat, which means we could see our peaks come anywhere in that about 4 or 5 day window or so. Let's take a look at traffic. We earlier this morning were tracking a crash that was on the 5 that was blocking the on-ramp onto the Coronado Bridge. It looks like that has been cleared. However, we do have a crash that just popped up on 94, and that could be causing some delays when trying to get downtown as well. Coronado Bridge still backed up. You see that stop and go traffic all the way across the bridge into Coronado this morning. Looking at your border wait times, it is a 50-minute wait at the San Ysidro Port of Entry, less than an hour. Otay Mesa Port of Entry going to be a little bit longer this morning, about an hour and a half across the Otay Mesa Port.